Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kubernetes SIG Release meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 17, 2025. This meeting is being recorded, and this meeting is under the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which boils down to be excellent to each other. Today, we have relatively light agenda, but this is the first time that we are meeting for the past 3 or 4 weeks. So let's see if we have any updates or anything to discuss. Before that, please, I have left the meeting agenda in the link to the meeting agenda in the Zoom chat. Please leave your name in the attendees list. And do we have anyone who can take notes? Okay, then.
We'll do it.
Thank you very much, Kat.
You're so welcome.
Okay. First, do we have any new members or attendees that would like to say hi and introduce themselves? Okay, looks like that's a no. If you at any time want to introduce yourself, prefer to do that at our SIG Release channel. We are very happy to see new members around. Okay, now we can get started with the sub-project updates, and the first one is release engineering. I can do a quick update for the patch releases. So we have the patch releases scheduled for today. Initially, they were scheduled for last Tuesday, a week ago. However, we postponed them for a week for 2 reasons. The first one is the release manager availability. And the second one was the fact that we wanted to ship the latest Go updates that had some security fixes in them. So we wanted to include that in the patch releases as well, especially that this month we cut the last planned 1.30 release. However, the releases are not going well at this time, mainly because we are running into some errors with signing the binaries with cosign and Fuccio to be precise. So we are working on working with the SIG Store team on that, and we are hoping that we will be able to get this solved and to continue with the release process. There is a slight chance that we might have to delay the releases, so for tomorrow. But in that case, we will keep everyone updated and we will send an email to the relevant mailing lists. Okay, are there any questions for patch releases before we continue? Okay, I will take that as a no. So the next topic is OBS packages. Generally, there are no updates there. The project on OBS has been created for 133. Those projects are still not fully functional because they're missing some packages. I am planning on taking care of that tomorrow, probably. It has been quite a busy week. Other than that, no major updates, but now I see we have Tatiana here, so I hope I didn't mispronounce your name, but they worked on tests for the OBS implementation in Krell, and thank you very much for all your work on that. And yeah, that's it for the OBS packages.
Thank you, Marco, and name pronounced correctly.
Okay, thank you again. For the supply chain security and artifact validation, I am pretty sure we have nothing, but if anyone maybe has some update. Yeah, I will assume there are no updates on that side. So that will be it from the release engineering. Are there any questions? Okay, I would say no. So can I get over to the release team?
Hello. The release is going fine. There's no drama. It's early in the cycle, but enhancements freeze is Friday. The only other thing I have regarding the release team is relevant to Mateo's open discussion item.
Should I go with it?
Sure, fire away.
So we noticed last time I didn't because I was already a lead shadow too, that we cannot restart proud jobs since we are not in a certain group. And I wonder if it's worth it that the person that's cutting the release is able to restart, example, the promo job by themselves instead of pinging someone else and making them go through the restart work, which is not much work, but it still like requires another person to be live and active, and that person cannot be me either. So I also don't have the permission. So two options: we give everyone permission, we give me the permission. So at least I will always be available for the cuts in case a shadow is doing them. So maybe that's a solution. Or yeah, we give it to everybody, but that might pose a risk depending on how large is the scope of this permission, which is fortunately not 100% clear to me, but yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things there first. Ideally, that should be the case. It could be done, like basically how that works is that, for example, restarting the proud jobs. So this is configured pretty much for each proud job dedicated. I think I shared the link for that job where it boils down to the release manager's GitHub team and to the several leads groups. So SIG testing, SIG Infra, and maybe one more. I'm not sure. We could eventually add a new GitHub team, something like branch managers or release branch managers that have access to this. That is an option that I see as a viable. At this moment, I am not confident about adding branch managers to the release managers GitHub group, GitHub team, because that implies quite a lot of write and admin permissions to stuff. So it is quite more outside just the release scope, and this is one more thing that we have to care about. And yeah, that's something that I would avoid today if possible. So if we can come up with a new GitHub team where you folks get added and we get your permissions, that could be fine to me. But nonetheless, I think we should try to establish that we have, even though that in the most of cases it is not needed, that we have a senior release manager available when it is the release cut is ongoing. So someone who has all the permissions, someone who has all the contacts, because for example, you will also need the release manager to approve the promo PR. So it is one more thing that you also need someone with all the permissions, and it wouldn't be bad to have someone on board always. So maybe I would, have it that we have someone who is like the, let's say, full-time part of the team, and who is like full release manager be around as well. And at least they don't have to, monitor everything and all that, but just that they be available that day.
Okay.
We could consider doing that. Is there anything anyone wants to add, maybe? Okay. Does that answer your question? Should we go up to the next topic?
Yep, it does. Well, the other question is just lack, if we have any notable impact on SIG releases or yeah.
Yes, we make pretty heavy use of the Slack groups to tag a lot of people at once. I don't consider that a huge deal to lose personally, but we do use it and we will lose it. We do sometimes rely on channel history to point out when somebody is wrong or when somebody has promised us something and not delivered it. Release signal has particular exposure here. There's a lot of going back through Slack channels to point at when we have tagged somebody in an issue regarding a lack of responsiveness to and something brought up by release signal. So that is annoying. We're also disproportionately affected by the decision made on what platform we move to. We have the largest number of new contributors at a time of any SIG, and it is a constantly rotating parade of new contributors, often who are entirely new to open source in general. But we also know this, and it's actively being discussed and considered. So there's not really anything else to do or say about it here. If you have strongly held opinions or concerns around what we switch to based on the fact that we're SIG release, then I would advise you to take that to the GitHub discussion that is going on so that we can keep all of these suggestions and arguments and concerns centralized in one place. Those discussions certainly should not be happening on Slack, since we now need to consider Slack ephemeral. So please do not bring it up in the SIG release channel. It's like the worst possible place to put it. Put it in the GitHub issue.
GitHub discussions are another parade, but I can talk about that.
Yeah, but it's what we've got. It's the only thing we have that's not currently ephemeral. Yeah.
I highly suggest not to go above 500 comments, just as a hint.
I dropped a link to the open issue into the chat. If
thank you, Jeremy. What's up, Marco?
Okay, so I want to say a couple of things about that. Kat, you did very well a recap of everything. Maybe I'm not sure I'm thinking out loud now. Like, I think that for SIG release, the Slack history and the message history is very important piece of thing, because it's basically, you know, a lot of times we use that for release, for going back in history, for seeing how we resolve some conflict, to see how we resolve some GitHub issue, you know, not GitHub issue, the release issue, something like that. I think we are going to be affected by this much more than other SIGs. Maybe this is overestimation, I don't know. So maybe it would be a nice idea that we do some joint template, something like that, so that we write some message, explain the problem and put it somewhere. I think this issue is becoming, so this is a bit of a personal opinion, but this issue is becoming a total mess. So maybe do some joint, you know, message or something like that and post that to issue or send to Steering or something like that, because after all, Steering is going to decide on this.
So we would need to get together and come up with that, but also it's worth remembering that 2 members of SIG release leadership are on the steering committee.
Okay, yeah.
So like, and one of them's on the technical oversight committee. So we already have like a very outsized degree of representation on leadership for both like technical ZNCF oversight and Kubernetes specifically. We have like significantly more power and impact than any other SIG does right now, which is maybe fair since we are going to take the brunt probably of the damage here. At least I expect this to be a managerial nightmare for me personally dealing with the release team. But yeah, we have 3 very senior members of relevant leadership bodies representing our own SIG.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good point. Are there any questions, or would anyone like to add something maybe?
My only suggestion would be, if you're going to do anything, you should try to do something sooner, as Slack has changed some of their policies. Like if you're trying to grab something from the API, Slack has made some changes that make things a lot more difficult to pull information easily out of there. there because they're trying to control their data.
That's being handled. There's Mario, Contribax and the CNCF, the TOC are handling this.
Yeah, I know that. I know.
There's
But
already an export.
yeah, because like if you wait as of like this week, you're gonna see significant API changes.
Export and private chat too, if you can. I already did some because I had some good info that I needed to keep handy. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me just see something.
Marco,
It's
even
worth-
our chat currently with the shadows is considered a private chat, by the way, because it's just a DM group.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything
So-
like that will be impacted. You need somebody that's in that group to get the export because they can't as Slack admins.
So I shared a link that was shared today at the CNCF TOC meeting about how to export stuff. So folks might find it useful, like if you have anything that's private in DMs or something like that, export it. Also, I would say if you have any instructions or anything like that in public chats, please export that as well, because there is data dump, but it's private, and who knows if it is going to be public, if we will make it work and stuff like that. So if you have anything important, even in the public channels, it's a good idea to take backup of that. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I will take that as a no for this topic. And with that, we came to the end of the open discussion as well. Do we have anything else? Okay, I will take that as a no. As usual, you can find us on Slack as of now. We will see if that changes. But yeah, for now, if you have any questions, we are around. And I wish you all a very wonderful rest of your day and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye, folks.